How I knew that I was being played and still stayed. I'm referencing staying at a toxic job. This is for Black women in toxic jobs. If you are in a similar situation where you know you can see the writing on the wall, you know that you're being played in some ways, but you still stay, this video is for you. And I'm being very transparent in this video. I don't have any notes. I'm telling you in terms of my own experiences in the hope that you can learn something from my lessons learned. If you don't know me already, I'm Dr. Kamani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, a toxic job survivor, and a toxic job liberator for Black women. On my channel, I focus on ways to support Black women leaving and healing from toxic jobs. So no matter where you are on the continuum of not liking your job and wanting to leave, this channel is for you. So again, I wanted to be very transparent with this video and share with you. It's going to be like story time. So you can hear as I'm telling about my story of peeping what was going on, seeing what was happening, but yet I stayed, and I stayed at a cost. And this might be happening to you. Okay. So I used to work as a clinical psychologist, and there were a number of things that happened, and I was called into the office one day without warning, without notice, that a position that I had been promoted to, that it was being phased out. Okay, so they said that it was no longer a full-time position. It was being phased out, even though I was working up and above full-time and doing extra duties. So I was like, okay, I'm taking it in stride because I'm committed to the work, just as you may be committed to the work. I've heard of so many Black women who have talked about their positions have been phased out. So this, you might relate to this. So, they tell me the position was phased out. So I'm thinking, okay, well, that position is phased out. That's okay. I was promoted previously, so I'll just go back to that position. No. So what they did to me was they said, no, you can't go back to the position that you were promoted from. You're going to go all the way back to your entry-level position. Now, this is when I started knowing that they were really playing in my face. So when I was a clinical psychologist, at that point, I was the only clinical psychologist in the whole school district. So they had school psychologists, social workers, but I was the only clinical psychologist in that position in the whole district. So when I was promoted, they closed the position. Okay. Now they're telling me that they reopened my entry-level position to demote me. So again, I'm thinking, okay, there's something that does not sound right here. Why can't I go back to the position I just came from, that was promoted from, right? Why am I going all the way back to my entry-level position? But yet, and still, I'm still trying to make it work because I'm committed to the work. Okay, I'll take the L, right? And please note that when I was demoted, I lost a lot of money. Okay, so this was a huge financial loss to me when I was demoted, but I'm still trying to make it work because I'm committed to the work. And so I had previously co-developed a training, and the training was talking about culture and ways that cultural issues may impact how trauma develops and how it's manifested for students. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll be demoted in this position, even though I knew I wouldn't grow in that position because that was my entry-level position that I had left over 10 years ago. So I said, okay, fine. I'll go to a demoted position as long as I can still do the training to help support the mental health needs of students within the district. So I was told, oh, that training that training that you like to do, yeah, you probably won't be able to do that either. So I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute, like what's going on here? Because why all of a sudden is this happening, right? It didn't make any sense. Why all of a sudden? And again, when I tell you about these things, I want you to hear, just as I was in the position of trying to make logical sense of something that is not going to make logical sense, okay? But I said, okay, as long as I'm able to do just some of the training, even if I'm not able to do a lot of the training, I'm okay. I'll just try to just make it in this entry-level position. Now, keep in mind, as I was a very vocal supporter of the needs of Black students within the school district. So again, I work for the second largest school district in the nation. very vocal, right? So things would happen. They would talk about, special programs that they were putting forth. And I would say, well, what about the Black students, right? So I got the a negative label of, oh, Dr. Kamani only talks about the Black students, which is totally false. However, I did advocate for Black students. So this is around the same time that a lot of money came to the district to support the needs of Black students. So before they told me, oh, well, we don't have the money, we don't have the funding for Black students. So now when this money comes in to support Black students, I'm thinking, oh, well, this is perfect because I'm out here. I've been very vocal about supporting Black students. I've been doing all these things, co-creating, all these things, right? So this is when the okie doke happens. So the administrators in my unit are telling people in this other program that focuses on Black students, oh yeah, Kamani's going to be doing the trainings for you guys, right? So I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to be doing the trainings for this program. This is a line. And the administrators are coming to me in this other program saying, oh, we're looking forward to you doing the trainings for our program. And we've been out telling people that you're going to be doing the trainings for our program. So this is how they're played in my face. So when I go back to my unit and I say, oh, okay, so, how is this going to work? And they said, no. You are not going to train in that program. You are not going to have any involvement in this program. None. Okay. Now again, playing in my face. So I am still thinking, okay, wait a minute. The administrators in the program are telling me yes. My unit is saying no, but apparently they're telling the people in the other unit that I am going to be doing the training, right? Playing in my face. So I got wrapped up in this. Oh, I'm going to prove them, I'm going to talk to people and I'm going to make these trainings happen. But it became apparent to me that they were putting the need to put me in my place above meeting the needs of Black students. They didn't care about that. They were so invested in keeping me in my place that they were going to prevent me from having any involvement in this program to do any type of training to support the needs of Black students, even though I had co-developed the training and I had developed the training on my own, talking about Black youth and suicide, which was a concerning issue because the rates are going up. So I developed this training on my own and I let them know that I developed this training. And they told me, oh, thank you for the information. So again, when you look at people, are they really invested in helping to support the needs of students, or are they more invested in putting you in your place? So when you hear my story, my hope is that you are able to hear that sometimes people's ego takes over to the point they don't really care about the students or the needs of what's going on at the job. They are more invested in putting in your place. And you may recognize what's going on, just like I recognized what was going on. I saw what was going on. However, I said, you know what? I'm going to stay. I'm going to fight. I'm going to try to find a way to still do this training, to still do this work. But do you hear how ridiculous that was? That I am fighting to work. Fighting, right? So they're playing in my face. I still stayed because I was committed to the work. However, when it got to the point when it was abundantly clear that it was no way that I would grow at all in this position, because again, they put me back to my entry-level position that had left over 10 years ago, lost a whole bunch of money, said I could not be involved in this program to help support the needs of Black students, even though I have the lived in and professional experience, even though I had co-developed trainings to support Black students and all students, even though I had developed on my own a training for Black youth and suicide, even with all those things, right? I said, you know what? They are not going to let me do this work. And they were doing everything they could to push me out. And so when this happens, sometimes we can get in this position of, oh, you're not going to push me out. I'm going to stay longer. You're not going to push me out of the situation. However, I invite you to think about, just as I had to think about, What am I fighting for? I will not have the opportunity to do the work that I want to do. They're not allowing that to happen. They will block me at every turn, and they will do this crazy making thing of telling other people that I'll be doing the work, but telling me it's no way I would have any involvement in the work. And they even did this. They told me that, and this is a flat out lie, okay? They told me that one of the Black administrators in that other program, focusing on Black students, that he had complained that he didn't like the way I was handling this situation about my demotion, and that I would kept calling him and harassing him to the point that he no longer wanted to work with me. That is a flat out lie. Flat out lie, okay? Never call this man, okay? Never, it made no sense. And in fact, this man came back and was trying to figure out, well, how can we support you and doing these trainings? I'm saying, well, you talk to these people because they're saying no. And I said, in fact, they told me that I was harassing you. And he's like, that is not true. So again, you have to think about, is it even worth it to get into these lies, trying to confront people in the lies and all this other kind of stuff, right? For me, it wasn't worth it. I am a licensed clinical psychologist. I had skills prior to me even coming to that job. And why would I stay at a job where I was not growing? I was being disrespected. I was being lied to in my face. And even though I told myself, I knew I was being played, right? I still stayed because I was committed to the work. I would not be able to do the work. I was not able to do the work. They blocked me at every turn. Okay. So when this happens, when you encounter this much resistance, this much dishonesty, this much lying, you have to ask yourself, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? What are you working for? And are there other opportunities for you to work somewhere else and do the work on a larger scale? So for me, when all this craziness was going on, it was all this back and forth and got the union involved. It was ridiculous, right? It got to a certain point. I said, let me just take a leave of absence. And when I was on that leave of absence, it really gave me an opportunity to really clear my head and not being in all that nonsense, that back and forth. And I was able to say, wait a minute, I didn't go to school to do this job. I went to school to become a clinical psychologist, which I am. So this is not the only place where I can be a clinical psychologist. In fact, there was only one position right for me. And again, to show you how invested they were and to put me in my place. Again, they had closed the position before when I promoted, but to demote me, guess what they did? They opened the position. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. Let me tell you to make it even, to even make it even more, to add more drama to it. Okay. So I can't believe I forget this part. Thank God that, over time, your memory kind of forget certain things. But I wanted to add this part just to show you sometimes how a job is so invested in trying to break you and trying to instill a sense of fear in you that you will either buckle down or you will leave. So keep in mind, I was at the job over 10 years, way over 10 years when all this stuff happened. So they told me that they were going to open my entry-level position for 1 year. Okay, they're going to open for 1 year. And then after that time, they were going to close it. And if I was not able to find another position within the district, I would be laid off. I had never heard of anything like this before. My union had never heard of this anything like before, right? But they were going to, again, open it for 1 year. And if I couldn't find another position, then I would be laid off. Okay. So again, that sense of fear. Now, I'm going to do another video about what happened when I started interviewing for other positions. Okay. So the whole thing about being blackballed and the smear campaign, that'll be a different video. Okay. But I forgot to tell that part about how they told me that I would be laid off if I wasn't able to get another position because they were going to open my demoted position for a year. Okay. So again, I knew they were playing in my face. I still stayed because I was committed to the work. My hope, sis, is that even though you're committed to the work, that you recognize at a certain point, it's not worth it. Are there other places where you can still do the work, particularly when they are preventing you from even doing the work? You're fighting, you're working to work. Okay. So for me, it was ridiculous. And, again, I've talked about my process of taking that leave of absence when I was on a leave of absence, because I want to share with you not only my experience and being very transparent with you, and really fessing up on situations that I'm not too proud of. I'm not too proud that I spent so much time with these people. I'm not so proud of that I allow people to talk to me and treat me in a certain way, disrespectful way. And that's something I'm still working on. So my own healing journey right now, I've resigned from that job over 2 years ago. I'm still healing from it. There are times I'm reminded of things that happened that I'm still like beating myself up. Like, why did you do? I have to say to myself, let that go. Just like for you, you might be saying to yourself, let that go. So again, for me, I took that leave of absence. And when I'm sharing these things with you, I want you to be able to hopefully hear the lessons learned as I'm being very transparent with you. But I also want to share with you the how to get out, that you do have options. Because when I was in the thick of it, when I was fighting these people so much, I was so consumed with fighting them that I could not envision leaving that job. I could not envision what other options I had besides that job. Even though I was trained to do something, I was trained and I had all these skills and all these other things before I even came to the job. But that's part of the mind trick. That's part of the fear. Is that I thought, what am I going to do? Oh my God, what am I going to do? Just like you might be watching this video right now and thinking to yourself, what am I going to do if I'm not at this job? What am I going to do? Okay. And so when I talk to you about the how, I want you to know that I'm going to be transparent with you about that. Okay. So took that leave of absence. And then when I was on that leave of absence, I was in coaching and I was able to pivot to the skills that I had before I came to the job, right? So I was able to pivot to do telehealth. So think about, as you're watching this video, think about and reflect on, and maybe not even while you're watching the video, maybe later, reflect later on what are the skills that you already have before you even came into the job, or even that you developed at that job, that you would be able to pivot somewhere else. Okay, either doing something on your own and or getting another job. I want you to know that you have options. I will continue to let you know that you have options, even if it feels like you don't, because you may be so consumed with what's happening to you right now. You might be so beat down with what's happening to you right now. And I know I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was in this state of fighting them. And when you think about what's happening at your job, sometimes the timing may be like one of the worst times of your life. You might be dealing with other things going on in your life and dealing with the job thing. And you might think, I don't have the energy to start doing anything else, right? But just know that the longer you stay there, the longer it's going to harm you. So I invite you, if you're able to take a leave of absence, please do that. If you're not able to take a leave of absence, and I would just say regardless, please seek therapy to get support, because this is a form of trauma and it will continue to kind of beat you down, and it will contribute to this sense that I felt too, this sense of helplessness and hopelessness. And that is a very dangerous place to be in, because you start feeling like there's nothing that you can do to make it better, and that life cannot be any better for you besides this job. And so I want to caution you, if you're starting to have that feeling, to really seek therapy and make sure that you are with a therapist who can really understand you and validate you. Okay. So I have information in my description section about how to find a Black therapist and therapy resources. So I want to invite you to really check those things out. I also have other resources in my description section. Again, these are options for you to utilize, but you need to be open to exploring them, okay? So an option coming up for you is the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women, which is May 18th and 19th. So we're going to be talking about not only the mindset and walking through the fears, but the actual practical steps for how to get out of that toxic job, replace your income, what to do about health insurance, your retirement, your life insurance. So many things we're going to be covering, okay? So May 18th and 19th, the information to learn about the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women will be in the description section, okay? So I'm signing off. Again, wanted to come on very transparent. When I talk about it even now about what I went through at that toxic job, it is so ridiculous when I think about how they literally just played in my face. And I knew they were playing in my face, but I lied to myself and said, you know what? I know they're lying in my face, but I'm committed to these kids. I'm committed to doing this work. I'm just going to stay and I'm going to fight. But at a certain point, you have to think about what is the cost? What is the cost? Okay. So as I'm signing off, please give this video a thumbs up. Also share this video with at least 2 other Black women. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Lifting Up to Climb Consulting Wellness Services. And again, the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women is coming up May 18th and 19th. Click in the link description section and you will be on the waiting list. So when early registration opens, you will be notified. Okay, so I'm signing off and I'll talk to you later. Bye.